Round 2 of the 2023 MotoGP World Championship. It's been cool, it's been cloudy, it's been damp at times on this Super Saturday, but fingers crossed, it looks like the second edition of the exciting new MotoGP Sprint will be run in full dry conditions. Not a lot of breeze around, but we've already had plenty of high drama on this Saturday in MotoGP. If you joined us this morning, and we sincerely hope you did, Alex Marquez is poised to start from the pole position in the Premier class for the very first time in his Grand Prix career. Of course, qualifying counting for this afternoon's 12-lap sprint and the main race, the 25-lap Michelin Grand Prix of Argentina tomorrow. As you mentioned, both qualifying sessions this morning were ram-packed full of drama. Damp conditions meant that in Q1 the riders were out on Michelin's rain tyres, and then right at the back end of the second qualifying session, just when it mattered the most, the likes of Alex Marquez, who starts from pole for the first time since the Sepang Moto2 race in 2019 when he actually won the Intermediate World Championship title, Marco Bezzecchi and world champion Pecco Bagnaia, they made that crucial late gamble. What a masterstroke it was, and this man Marquez delivered a masterpiece. That was the words of Michele Massini as he took that pole position on the slick tyres in very tricky conditions. Really looking forward to bringing you the second instalment then of the MotoGP Sprint era. Matt Burt, Lewis Sotheby in the commentary box, Simon Crafard down in pit lane. As we mentioned at the time in commentary, we know that recovering elder brother Marc Marquez, he'd been sat on the sofa licking his wounds, nursing that broken thumb from Portimao last weekend. He would have loved it. First pole position in MotoGP, vamos. I saw Papa Marquez in the paddock earlier on. He had a smile as wide as Argentina on his face. And as we mentioned, for the very first time in his MotoGP career, we will see Alex Marquez on the Gresini Ducati starting from pole position. Lewis, this morning had a little bit of everything. Dodgy weather, amazing lap times, skill and bravery from the very world's best on a drying track on slick tyres. We'll have more of the same over the next 12 laps, won't we?
Yeah, if anything, last weekend gave us a preview as what we can expect on Saturday afternoons in 2023. A thrilling inaugural sprint, and once again this afternoon's 12-lapper has all the ingredients for start to finish drama. History made already today in Argentina. The first time ever that brothers have taken pole position in consecutive Grand Prix in the MotoGP World Championship. Mark last weekend, but this morning was Alex Marquez's moment. We've seen through pre-season the potential that Alex Marquez has. We saw it on Sunday last weekend. Can he convert it from his first ever start in a MotoGP race within the top 6 positions on the grid?
The Marquez boys that love Argentina, don't they? Sadly, Mark not with us this weekend. We wish him and Bastianini, Pol Espargaro and Miguel Oliveira speedy recoveries from their injuries. 6 of our 8 poles here in Tomato Honda in MotoGP have now gone the way of the Marquez boys. 5 of the previous 7 went to Mark, and this morning, of course, it was Alex that stole the headlines. Marco Bezzecchi, well, he grabbed some headlines himself, didn't he, last weekend in the main Grand Prix, the Tiso Grand Prix of Portugal, 6 days ago. That feels a lot longer than that, doesn't it? Already Bez making a podium start to 2023 for him in the full feature race, and he was the first rider this morning. Credit to him and the Muni VR46 Ducati squad. They worked out, they calculated that it was slick time in this morning's Q2 session, and Marco Bezzecchi went out. He was perhaps unfortunate not to get in one more lap. I think he was impeded, he said, on his exit on that final run by Taka Nakagami. No intent, of course, from the Japanese rider. Nevertheless, Marco Bezzecchi at his beloved Tomás Rio Hondo. First win here back in 2018. He's on the front row,
joined by World Championship leader and reigning world champion Pecco Bagnaia. Credit to him this morning, given that over the grand scheme of things in 2023, he perhaps will feel he has more to lose this season. He's thinking of the World Championship, but he trusted his gut in qualifying too. He felt that slicks were the way to go, and he was proven correct in the end. A front row start for him. Only 3 riders in the end in qualifying 2 went for slick tyres, and they were rewarded with the front row of the grid.
Yeah, it was a perfect pick-me-up for Pecco in many respects, wasn't it? He had a bit of a fever here yesterday. Well, of course, they are football mad in this part of South America. That flag there on the left-hand side of your picture, well, an absolute sporting icon, sporting legend, not just here in Argentina, but all around the world, of course. Leo Messi fans are out in force. We saw this man arriving in the paddock on Thursday. There he is with the number 10 fan, ready for the barbecue of the weekend. Well, now it's time to turn the temperature up. The heat is on. Pecco Bagnaia, great job by him though. That was the moment when Leo Messi steered Argentina to World Cup glory just before Christmas over in Qatar. And now they're coming to see the MotoGP stars do their business here at the Termas Rio Hondo circuit. Can Bagnaia make it 3 out of 3 so far in 2023? He doubled up last weekend for Ducati. He claimed that first historic victory in the sprint in Portimao. Yes, that's what it's all about here. I've seen that man actually wandering around the paddock quite a few times. He was in downtown Termas as well. He's been a selfie's dream here this weekend as the Argentina still revels in the glory of that World Cup success in December.
They know world-class excellence when they see it here in Argentina. How much of it will they see today from Maverick Vinales? Through practice yesterday, he looked in such good form. Ended up second quickest at the end of yesterday's dry running behind his teammate and last year's winner, Aleix Espargaro. Of course, Vinales, not one of the riders to go for slicks in qualifying 2 earlier on this morning, but he still managed to salvage a spot on the middle of the second row. He can certainly contend for victory from there.
A proven race winner here before in a full-length Grand Prix. That was all the way back to his dream start in 2017. He was the winner of the opening round in Qatar, then came here down to South America and won in Termas. Perfect start to his Yamaha career. He says he feels even better than then. It's better shape of his Grand Prix career is how Maverick Vinales described himself yesterday, both on and off the circuit. We thought in those zippy conditions this morning that Johan Zarco would play a big role in deciding pole position. Well, he didn't go out on the slick tyres at the end. Would it have been a different story if Zarco had made it out? He still starts though at the back of the second row in 6th place. A 2-time Moto2 winner here, of course, back in 2015 and 2016. Both those years he went on to capture the title.
And our most recent winner around this Termas Rio Hondo circuit in the MotoGP class, that memorable maiden victory last year for Aleix Espargaro in his 200th MotoGP start 1 year on. Can he repeat the feat? If he's going to do so this weekend in either the sprint this afternoon or tomorrow's full-length Grand Prix, he's going to have to do it from the back of the 3rd row of the grid. He will have been as annoyed as anyone to see the rain falling this morning during qualifying, because in dry weather conditions Aleix Espargaro has the pace to challenge for victory here, but he's going to have to get his elbows out very early on today, coming from 9th on the grid.
You can't beat the passion of the South American fans. There's a real festival atmosphere, carnival atmosphere whenever we come to Termas Rio Hondo. They don't let us get a lot of sleep, we have to say, in downtown Termas. They do like to party through the night. I'd imagine there's pockets of fans in the grandstands that may well have actually woken up about an hour ago just to get here, to get a bit of an atmosphere and soak up the new sprint format as Pecco Bagnaia and his Ducati mechanics then get his Ducati GP23 fired up and ready to go. Here is the lovely, spectacular new drone shot as well, bringing you these exclusive live pictures. We love this angle. It gives you such a different perspective. We're tracking Marco Bezzecchi down pit lane. Can he make up for the disappointment of 1 week ago? Felt like he had pretty good rhythm in the sprint race, in Portimao. So got a little bit pushed and barged and bumped around early on and then crashed out on a bump at turn number 14. So here was your Michelin tyre allocation. A slight revision to the usual format, which will be a feature of 2023. Three tyres in the front slick allocation, the soft, medium and hard. The rear tyres down to 2. And that is available this weekend, the medium compound and the hard compound. We did see quite a lot of wet tyre running this morning. Fingers crossed that we don't get any wet tyre action this afternoon, because this should be a cracker if it's full dry. Here come the two Aprilias then. They looked so good yesterday, Lewis, didn't they? Maverick Vinales top of P1 ahead of Aleix Espargaro. The roles reversed yesterday, and without that rain, you've got to actually believe that it would have been a tough task to dislodge the Aprilias from top spot in pole position.
They looked like they had a step over the rest of the field yesterday afternoon. That Aprilia just seems to go so well in the low grip conditions. They're able to generate grip on that RSGP, a problem that has plagued Fabio Quartararo all weekend to this point. We're right on board with the 2021 world champion. He will be 10th on the grid for the sprint here this afternoon and for the race tomorrow, which is, to be fair, better than it looked following practice yesterday afternoon when he was unable to secure an automatic place in qualifying 2. He did so by virtue of the wet Q1 earlier on today, along with this man, Alex Marquez. But after missing out, Fabio Quartararo was punching the Yamaha pit box in frustration this morning.
Well, last year it was a phenomenal year, wasn't it, for Gresini Ducati, with an Air Bastianini winning 4 Grand Prix, the perfect start to the new season, winning in Qatar, and Alex Marquez already making big waves in that Italian team. 5th last weekend in the main Grand Prix, a sensational pole this morning, and all Ducati lockout of the front row yet again, with the world champion in 3rd place. A lot to be happy about right now for Ducati. Let's hear from Ducati Corsa Sporting Director Paolo Ciabatti, who's with Simon.
Yeah, Paolo, we don't have a lot of time for interviews, but I wanted to speak to you because Ducati front row, but from 3 different teams. I wanted to get your thoughts on the different riders. Alex Marquez, what a job this morning. I've got to say, Bez looks like he's going to be difficult for anyone to beat. And then your man, Pecco, 3rd. Give us your thoughts.
Well, it's somehow an unexpected first row all Ducati, but for sure Alex was very fast in those conditions. He's been very confident on the bike. Bez has been really strong this weekend. And Pecco was brave enough, like the other 2, to decide to go out on slick tires. Obviously, you know, the first few corners were still very wet, but obviously he realized that he could not improve his lap time with wet tires, so he decided to come in, go out. We were a little bit worried, but in the end it was the right choice. So good to have 3 Ducatis in front, and good that it's dry now. Let's see, I think we're still thinking which is the right tire choice for the race, but hopefully we can have a great race with those 3 guys in front.
I'm curious if your analysts are worried about Viñales, middle of the 2nd row.
Well, you know, he's been very consistent, very fast. So let's see. I think if we can go get a good start, then you know, our riders, I would say our riders, will have a good chance to be fighting for the podium. And I think for Pecco, obviously, a win is always important, but the points are more important at this stage.
Thank you, Paolo.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Paolo Ciabatti. A very dramatic end to Q1 this morning for Alex Marquez. He slid off his number 1 Gresini Ducati in the last couple of corners at turn 13 when he was going to improve on the time that did put him through as top man in Q1. His bike then sort of caught fire on the cool-down lap. He was able to get back in time for Q2, but with just 1 bike, not easy when the conditions were as treacherous as what they were, to then take the gamble and fire it onto pole position. Excellent job by Alex Marquez. We just saw there briefly Marco Bezzecchi. As he mentioned, his 2nd career podium last weekend, following up his Dutch TT 2nd place behind this man last June. And Pecco Bagnaia, like Paolo Ciabatti said, it's important at this stage of the season just to rack up the points. Eventually points make prizes. Pecco Bagnaia, well, he knows that from last year, doesn't he, Lewis? We were just heard there Paolo Ciabatti saying to Simon Crafar, maybe a few undecided about their tyre choice last minute, but I do believe we've got Michelin information about what the boys are going for.
Yes, we have. Just 3 riders have deviated from the front tyre, going for the medium front. They are Johann Zarco, Jack Miller and Augusto Fernandez. Everyone else has gone for the harder option. Everyone is on the softer of the 2 rear options, which is the medium tyre. Alex Marquez on pole from Bezzecchi and Bagnaia on all Ducati front row. Frankie Morbidelli, his best qualifying since the 2021 French Grand Prix. He's 4th ahead of Maverick Viñales and Johann Zarco. Marini Martin and last year's winner Aleix Espargaro in 9th. Fabio Quartararo, a rather frustrated 10th. Taka Nakagami and Alex Rins on what has been a promising weekend so far for LCR. They complete the 4th row. 5th row of the grid is where we see Raul Fernandez, the soul of the R&F Aprilias, out here this weekend. Fabio Di Gianantonio and Brad Binder are alongside him. And on the 6th and last row of the grid, we see Jack Miller, Augusto Fernandez and Joan Mir.
Yeah, Jack Miller not having a good day. His worst qualifying since Austin back in 2018. That's what it's all about then, the top 3 medals. going full glory in the Tissot sprint now. The Maverick Vinales starts 5th, Aleix Espargaro starts 9th, which is not reflective of their potential and pace at all after such a strong Friday. They were caught out by the tricky conditions this morning, but do not discount the two factory Aprilia men from the reckoning. Let's get some pre-sprint thoughts from their boss, Paolo Bonora, with Simon.
Paolo, I think qualifying didn't go to plan. Because your machines have looked, and riders have looked fantastic. The men to beat all weekend. Can you give us your thoughts on what's possible from the grid position you have?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. We didn't good qualifying for the weather forecast, for sure. But now seems to be fully dry. The weather is stable. We hope for an raising up of the temperature, because we like so much to have a high temperature for our bike here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Paolo Bonora then. Can Aprilia keep their golden run going here at Termas Rio Hondo? Unforgettable scenes when Aleix Espargaro created history for them 1 year ago with his one and only win in MotoGP, and Aprilia's. They'll be looking to improve on that record throughout 2023 as we looked at Maverick Vinales. Full of focus, full of concentration. Fair to say it's been a very, very difficult weekend so far for our former world champion Fabio Quartararo. He cut a very dejected and angry figure at the end of Q2 this morning. 10th on the grid goes Quartararo. This man on screen, Frankie Morbidelli, had an excellent morning. He starts 4th. Let's get some thoughts from their team manager, Maio Meregali, with Simon.
Maio, can you give us your thoughts on your two riders? Frankie looking so happy all weekend in these difficult conditions, and Fabio not.
Yeah, basically, we are not able to have both riders happy. Actually, yesterday, from the beginning of the sessions, Fabio was complaining about lack of grip, and the bike was big nervous on the bumps. Instead, Franco was very happy. And actually, Franco already showed this in Catalonia last year, especially in the first two sessions where the grip was not good. He was feeling very well. And last night we could evaluate or compare data between Franco and Fabio. We prepared something for today, but this morning, the conditions were not good enough to understand if what we have done will work. And now we will see pretty soon.
Thank you. Good luck.
Welcome.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Maio Meregali. Yeah, a pretty humbling weekend so far, Fabio Quartararo. At the end of play this morning in Q2, the only session that he's participating where he's actually found himself inside the top 10. He was right at the back end of it. So for the second week in a row, Fabio Quartararo finds himself on the 4th row. We know how problematic that proved for him in Portugal last weekend.
Just a last-minute change to the tyre information that we brought you a moment ago. Much like last weekend, we thought Jack Miller was going to go for a gamble with a softer front tyre to the rest of his rivals. This time, he has switched from the medium to the hard front option.
Yeah, and we can squeeze in one more interview before the sprint race gets underway. KTM boss Francesco Guidotti down on the grid with Simon.
Francesco, those conditions, not making it through Q1 has really hurt. I imagine both Brad and Jack would have done something special, throwing a slick in right at the end, tricky conditions, but it wasn't to be. What do you think from the position you're on the grid?
Yeah, it's difficult, mate, because everybody is very, very close to each other, and we missed yesterday the Q2 directly for a few milli. This morning the condition was very, very, very tricky, and we found the right feeling at the very end, maybe a little bit too late. We're struggling a bit yesterday to fix the setting and the electronics, so maybe it was the key of our missed results till now. But you never know. During the race, can always happen.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Francesco Guidotti. Yeah, the KTM boys have it all on, don't they, to get themselves into top 6 contention in this short 12-lap sprint. Binder, 15th on the grid, 1 place ahead of his 27-year-old Australian teammate Jack Miller, who briefly led the sprint 1 week ago in Portimao. He ran that soft front tyre, so our build-up then getting closer to the second MotoGP sprint. Taka Nakagami's covered himself in some glory this weekend, doing a great job on the LCR Honda despite the obvious lack of grip problems, particularly rear grip on the Honda package this year. Nakagami 11th in the championship. The 31-year-old Japanese rider starts 11th on the grid as well, and ahead of Alex Rins and Joan Mir, who's having a horror show, Lewis. Joan Mir right at the back of the grid in 18th place.
Yeah, that's round about where he's been all weekend to this point. One of the fall guys, I suppose, of the new weekend format that we've got. They came here with a base setup that was just completely out of the window of where they wanted to be. And of course, once you're chasing your setup with Friday so important now, you need to be in the top 10 at the end of Friday. Joan Mir trying to play catch up and unable ultimately to do it. He starts from the very back of the grid. Two more last minute changes tyre wise, perhaps some indecision on the grid given the limited dry running, and obviously they haven't had any dry running really since the end of free practice, and even that was in slightly iffy conditions. Our pole sitter Alex Marquez and Jorge Martin, who was second in the sprint last weekend, they've swapped from the hard to the medium front Michelin.
Well, you've got to make your pick now because 5 minutes to race start, that's it. You have to have made your decision. So here we go then as we build up towards the second MotoGP sprint of this new era in 2023. The grid will start to clear. So some last minute changes, last minute thoughts on how it might pan out. Basically, you've just got to go for, haven't you? Pecco Bagnaia, then the reigning world champion, on the front row in third place. The perfect start for him. The last time out, he won the sprint in Portimao. He held off Maverick Vinales to win the main Grand Prix as well. Marco Bezzecchi goes from second, a former race winner here in Moto3. Can he make it 2 wins in Termas on the Ducati? But for the first time in his MotoGP career, on pole position for the Gresini Ducati team, it's a Marquez masterpiece from Alex.